Hi, how's it going? It's been quite a nice day so far, I've got to say. I mean, it's been fucking freezing outside, but I managed to get some errands done. The United States had a whole new administration, which was amazing to see. And I'm getting to talk to an amazing chap this evening on this Insta Live. So welcome, thanks for joining. So you know when you've got, someone that's like ridiculously cute, like mad cute, and that person is also extremely talented, doesn't it just piss you off when someone's like cute and talented? And then to top it all off, they're a really fucking nice guy. So it's like, no. You could, you've got like cute, talented, and nice guy. He couldn't be a bastard or anything, could he? No. He had to just be bloody perfect. Bastard. Anyway, that guy's name is Suren, otherwise known as My Panda Shall Fly, and he's joining me today. Hi, Isuru, how are you? Hi, Miss Fozia, how are you? Thank you for joining. So yeah, like I said, Suren is not only cute as fuck, extremely talented, and a nice guy, but is really prolific too. It's sickening. Hi, Dewey, how are you? Ah, here he is. The man himself. Oh, I love Suren, really. Yeah, I'm still really jealous of him. Still a nice guy. Hi, Vimanga, how are you? Hi, Zelda. Hey! How are you, cutie pie?
How's it going?
Good, man. Good. I was going to say you're like a triple threat of like hotness, talent, and nice guyness. And I'm like,
my ear was tingling. That's why I had to jump on and
tingling. And you've got fucking spidey sense as well. Excellent. It's like everything all at once. But how are you, bro? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. My tongue is burnt because I sort of ate some food in a rush, so that's a bit annoying.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Was that because you're watching the inauguration? You're like, finally.
Yeah. And then nice. I had to make myself a tea and then, make myself look good.
Wait, hang on a second. You burnt your tongue and made yourself a tea. What kind of fucked up logic's that?
Because I want a tea. I know this is about drinking something while we're having a chat, right?
This is very true. This is very, very true. This is very true. Hi, Priti. Hi, Warp Space. Thank you, everyone, joining us. Yeah, man. So, I was thinking back to, like, all of the times we've hung out and talked shit and discussed, circuit bending and all the things. I mean, look at the stuff behind you. That says it all. And it's wonderful. But I was trying to think about when we first actually met. And I think it was at this rave in Shoreditch. And I can't quite remember if that's true.
You know what? I can't remember. And I'm really hoping you've got a better memory than I do. Because I honestly can't remember why we even met and where.
I think maybe like fellow brown freak, maybe. It's just like,
but where? Who was it that brought us together?
I think, you know what? Maybe it's a weird internet thing where there was like an outreach or some shit. Was I on Six Music at the time and I was asking for your music or something like that?
Oh, I do recall hanging out with you and Reggie quite a bit. So I feel like maybe I'd been in touch with Reggie because she'd been on BBC doing stuff, and maybe you just tagged along, and then I was like, hey.
Well, God bless her. Reggie's responsible for my whole fucking radio career. She taught me how to be a presenter. So,
Really?
Yeah, I mean, like when I was the first ever show I did on Radio 1 was in 2003. And Reggie was meant to produce that when she was still an assistant on Bobby and a Whole show. Okay. And my whole thing was like, look, man, all brown people don't listen to fucking Bunga on Bollywood, right? Like, what the fuck? That was my whole rant, you know what I mean? And we'd sort of help artists from abroad in the UK. And so it was like a natural progression. But I reckon maybe you're right. Maybe it's because of Reggie. That's how we met.
Yeah. And then I remember just like, after that, just sort of blurry recollections of just nights out. I don't remember specifically who we were watching or what was going on, but we were just drinking.
There's definite flashes. And that's the thing. It's all nighttime flashes. Booze, smoke, and by smoke I mean like dry ice smoke, not up in smoke or whatever. And there was lots of interesting events, and then obviously Magnetic Fields when you played. I think it was the second year, right?
Yeah.
When we brought Marla out as well.
Yeah.
It was that year. That was fucking amazing.
Bro, that was the loudest I've probably heard those speakers go since.
That's because of Prush's EQ, man. Prush just fucking tweaked that shit. And then, of course, my set afterwards when Marla jumped on the mic because Pavan lost his voice.
Oh, ridiculous.
It was so much fun, that whole fucking stretch.
Oh, God. Like, and the thing was, like, I was pretty used to hearing loud bass just from, DJing a lot of dubstep and all that at the time. But honestly, going there and just hearing these massive sobs, like the size of like an elephant, just going off that night was unbelievable.
And that courtyard was quite contained. So it was like,
Yeah.
you know, Prussian EQ'd out all the reflections. So you just got pure fucking, you got hit by the bass.
It was, oh man, it was honestly such a dream. And like, I don't think there's that much like documentation of the night. Like, I can't remember that many photos, but
No.
it's just, yeah, it's a dream.
It's literally, it's the same as our whole relationship. It's just fragments of memory that seems to just smush and blur into one, you know? But this is it. So like, you know, I was doing a bit of like, you know, because I do my background checks on all my mates that I talk to and get drunk with.
Well, like a DBS check.
Yeah, exactly that. But I was just like, you were born in Sri Lanka. How the fuck did you end up here then? Sri Lanka's like warm and fucking great food and like loveliness, and you're here. The fuck is wrong with you?
I know, I came from.
Why don't you go back to where you came from? What the fuck is wrong?
You know what? I might actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. I came from like this hot country with tasty food, loads of beautiful animals, and everything else. And yeah, I mean, I was really young. I came with my mum because we moved here.
Okay.
We want to get
well,
out.
No, sorry, I just want to say, no shit, Sherlock, you moved here. I mean, obvious. But yeah, go on. Yeah.
You know, there wasn't much of a future there at that time.
Right. When did you move here? Like, what year, if you don't mind me asking?
That was 96.
Okay. Fuck, really recently then?
Is that recent?
In my head. I mean, 96 when I started fucking DJing. So, I mean, that's right. That's like, you know, so yeah.
And then, yeah, like, you know, we sort of landed in London, and I've been here ever since, you know, like, you know, constantly having this, like, this push and pull of, like, you know, do I leave London? Like, what's keeping me here?
Yeah.
You know, I love it so much, you know, this is where I grew up, and it's been this constant thing.
That's crazy. So you moved here, and I'm just like, and how old were you when you moved?
It was about 10.
Okay, shit, that's what I mean. It wasn't like you weren't a baby. You moved when you were like, you know, a kid. You know what I mean? Still able. So you must remember that transition, like having to enter secondary school and all that kind of shit, being like from another country.
Oh man, yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, thinking back, I was really lucky that I had already like somewhat of a grasp of the English language, right?
Yeah.
And you know, of course, you know, you don't realize that at the time, but that really helped so much because you know, it sort of allowed me to just sort of like get stuck in and adapt really quickly, you know.
Well, I mean, let's be honest, right? People aren't necessarily forgiving if you can't speak the language in any fucking country, right?
No.
Do you know what I mean? And especially if you're a kid, and I presume that you looked a little bit different to the other people around you.
Yeah, I did. You know, I think what's good is that, and you know, beautiful, I suppose, about London is that, you know, largely the primary and secondary schools here are very mixed. You know, they're culturally diverse, and that we're so lucky to have that. And so I didn't feel that much of an outsider, you know, through the color of my skin per se, but you know, my accent was certainly not what it was now, right?
Yeah.
And like, you know, I think I sort of just about escaped, you know, like brutal, like,
you
know,
that kind of
nasty
discrimination. Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I mean, Birmingham was multinational to a degree, but I think that had its own baggage with it. Do you know what I mean? In terms of like, casual racism in the 90s. That's where I'm from, obviously. So yeah, London does sound a bit marginally better. But I think you're gonna get that shit.
What happened to your accent then?
Oh mate, my parents beat it out of me. You think that I would have had a fucking like, all right mate, how are you? This accent wouldn't have got me on the radio for love or money. There's no fucking way that I would have done anything or be taken seriously if I spoke like this.
Was it strong though? Was it actually a thing you consciously had?
No. I was just very, very fucking lucky, I think, to sort of, you know, have it gradually erased just from education and getting out there and getting. And I think there's a lot of code switching as well. Do you know what I mean? Like going into meetings, and it's been really beneficial having this voice. Like I always say, my parents worked their asses off because we're from a working class background to educate me and give me this voice, and so I could walk into offices or boardrooms now and not speak like, all right, mate, how's it going? You know, I've got this great idea for an event that I want to do, all right, and it's going to cost this much money. And trust me, with all of that investment, and I'll sort you out, it's not going to fucking work, is it? Do you know what I mean? Or like, could you imagine any pilot at the BBC with that thick a voice? But weirdly, I had this app that recorded you sleep talking. Okay. And in about 2008, it fucking recorded me talking in my sleep. And I've got a really thick Brummy accent when I sleep.
What?
Fucking bizarre, right?
So subconsciously, that is in you still, underneath everything.
You know what? You can take the boy out of Birmingham.
Yeah.
But you can't take the Birmingham out of the boy. You know what I mean? It was so fucked up. Because this is my natural talking accent. There's no effect to it at all. This is actually how I speak. But then, like, it turns out that deep down, there's all sorts of shit going on under the surface.
Like dark things.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, clearly. I've embraced a lot of my demons. So, yeah, they're definitely there. They're definitely there, man. But then, so, I mean, like, moving to London, you got into education. Then you went to Goldsmiths. Now, and you did, like, I'm guessing that you did audio work at Goldsmiths or not?
Oh, man, no, absolutely not. Like, sort of, you know, in the sort of education sphere, I had always been pursuing the sort of visual arts, right? So, you know, somewhat sort of doing well at GCSE, and then I went on to college. You know, you do your foundation sort of course, and then, you know, I went on to Goldsmiths, and like, as much as I liked music and all that kind of thing, at the time I had sort of separated the two for some reason. So like, I was just very, you know, interested and excited about just doing fine art, and that's what I did for 3 years at Goldsmiths.
Okay. Shit, that's really fucking similar to MIA's story, right?
I think so.
Because she went to St Martin's and did the same thing in terms of graphics, and then bled into music.
Yeah, I guess.
And you're both fucking Sri Lankan, which is bizarre.
Yeah, there's not that many of us. Yeah.
I mean, with that particular trajectory,
yeah,
that's pretty unique. But yeah, so then when did this? So the reason why I say this is because obviously, like, you hit a certain like high. I mean, and forgive me if I'm wrong. I'm sure there's more background to it than just like overnight immediate success, because it's never that fucking easy. But you kind of ended up making like a big impact with My Panda Shall Fly as your whole fucking thing. Like, it was everywhere. You know, it was like you got to a good label, Wichita Records. You got fucking like pushed and promoted, and you were like the darling of Resident Advisor, all that kind of shit. Pretty early on in your musical career, I'd say.
Yeah.
Is that right or not?
You know, like, yeah, you know, I was so blessed, I think, to have had that kind of start, because, you know, I sort of just, you know, sort of turned up out of nowhere, so to speak. You know, it's not like I had this sort of slow burning introduction to this, you know, into my career kind of thing. But, you know, it was in 2011 that I released my first EP, and I think, you know, I was just so sort of like keen and excited at that point, from sort of having, you know, got something out and having it all professionally mastered and everything. And you know, I just didn't stop after that, really. You know, I was just really, I just kept on going, basically.
I think it's just fucking fascinating, because I think that at that point, like beg your pardon, burping like a bastard, but in 2011, you could effectively self-release. Do you know what I mean? It was like the landscape is sort of changing, where you could self-release, you could do all that kind of stuff. But then your first release was actually kind of fucking pro. Do you know what I mean? Like you said, you had it mastered, you had a label behind you, you had all that kind of shit. That's fascinating in itself, I think. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, I was, you know, I don't know how it happened. It's one of those, you know, it's one of the things, like, with, you know, with making music and beat making, as, you know, as it was. I was always doing that, even when I was studying fine art, right?
Right.
I mean, even before that, when I was in secondary school, you know, I was in South London, right? I was in Clapham Junction, and, you know, at that time, UK Garage was huge, right? Like, it was a big thing. We had all the sort of South London heroes, particularly like people like So Solid Crew. They were like just around the corner. They were like, you know, we'd see them sort of walking down the road, and you know, we were looking up to these guys. And I think, you know, that obsession began there, where everyone I remember like most of the guys in my school, we all were obsessed with DJing. You know, we were like saving up to buy turntables, buying records, and you know, going to this shop in Clapham Junction called it was something like Unique Music or something, and it was just so cool. Like we were idolizing these guys, and just, you know, from then on there was just this urge and like hunger to just make beats, and you know that had been continuing for all those years. So when I released my first thing in 2011, I felt like even for myself, like I had waited so long. That's why I had titled it "Sorry I Took So Long," which is, which is so funny. But you know, I think
it's about fucking time. Yeah.
It did feel like for me, I had taken ages to get something out, but of course, to everyone else, you know, that wasn't the case.
It was new, essentially, to everyone else. But that's the thing, is that you kind of were able to sort of cross over into that whole, like, more, what should I say, like more textured or alternative spin on shit, where you could do what you wanted to and not have to be sort of put into any sort of silo in terms of genre or scene or whatever, you know? And that in itself is pretty fucking special, particularly as like someone of your hue. And actually, that's the question. Right, why did you choose the name My Panda Shall Fly?
It actually started as a trio, right? So so there were three of us, and I'd like to.
You were all the singular panda.
Yeah. I'd like to think though the weird name was nothing to do with me. So
you jacked the name off your mates, you bastard, basically.
I placed the weird name blame on them. But you know, it was great, man. It was like, you know, we were just getting stuck into like the live London music scene, right? And you know, we had this strange fusion of the weirdest things. You know, there was like electric guitar, there was live beats coming out of a laptop, and all this kind of thing, and vocals. And you know, we didn't fit in anywhere, but we just sort of didn't care. We were just playing wherever we could, like whatever nights that sort of took us, you know, even if we didn't sort of fit into the billing. And we were just going all out. We would just be playing like as much as possible. And eventually, you know, those two guys just, you know, either they got a bit tired and a bit worn out from like all the gigging, and you know, they wanted to pursue other things. And I was just still really hungry for it. So like, you know, I just sort of took on the name and ran with it.
That's fucking cool. I was thinking about this actually recently. And I was looking back at sort of all of the sort of audio output we've done with Shiver Sound System or otherwise, for me personally, I mean. And it was one thing I realized is that even on Radio 1, when we got a regular show and stuff, one of the benefits was that there was this not being in any particular scene had a huge benefit, because you didn't have to ebb and flow with the popularity of that scene. So when you're on the fringe of everything, you can go forever. You know what I mean? So and it can feel quite isolating at times, because you're like, well, where the fuck do I belong? But over the course of like 3 decades for me, or whatever the fuck long it's been, or 4 like 2.5 decades, it's kind of nice because you're still fucking around, right? You're still around and present, which is actually quite a unique position in itself, you know.
How long were you on Radio 1 then?
I think 2 to 3 years. I can't quite remember. It was 20. I don't know actually. It was 2000. Fuck knows. I can tell you. Let me go to my bio. Hang on, I'll tell you. Hang on a second. I reckon it was like 2 to 3 years. And then Asian Network was like 4 years or something.
Right.
And then loads of one-offs. Then Six Music for like 2 years or something like that. It was all very, very fucking random.
I'm just annoyed that we didn't get to cross paths in that sort of world back then.
Yeah, I think we just sort of missed each other, because I think Six Music for me started around about 2011, which is probably why Reggie maybe put us together.
Yeah.
Because I was like doing weird shit on Six Music, which was awesome. It's kind of what I always wanted to do, actually. The rest of it was kind of, I want to do weird things rather than anything particularly mainstream, you know.
And another, actually, that reminds me of a particular show somewhere in Shoreditch, right? As you do. I had just played somewhere, and you and Reggie just stumbled in from like what seemed like you were just on a bar crawl or something like that. And it was just hilarious because you guys had gotten the time wrong and you just turned up and I was like, oh, I just finished. And then you guys were just like still looking for a party somewhere. And after that, I don't know what we did and where we ended up. Do you remember that?
Was that under the bridge? Was that like this under
possibly,
the arches?
Possibly, yeah.
Because I vaguely remember that. And that was like, I hadn't been to that venue since like sort of when, what the fuck was it called?
Oh man, that's a good memory.
Was it Electro Clash? When that whole sort of scene started up, when there was like electro pop and that whole thing when the klaxons were massive, all that, whole period. And this was just at the tail end of that, I think. Yeah, that does sound familiar. Yeah, I have a really fucking strange memory where I remember certain flashes really well.
Wait, you know, okay, another particularly amazing memory was Magnetic Fields, where I think it was the first time I went, and amazingly, you just turned up. Like, you know, the festival had already just been going 1 or 2 days. And I just remember like loving the fact that you just decided kind of like overnight just to turn up. I think you just like arrived. I swear it was when Crash was playing like under one of these like column things. Do you remember that?
I think if it's the second one, I know that I bombed it in. Yeah. Because this is quite a mad story, because me, Prash, Pav, and a guy called Ali, who's a lawyer from America, did this whole crew thing where we were doing a bunch of artists coming in. So we helped Major Lazer go on tour in India. Right. And that was simultaneous with Magnetic Fields. And Major Lazer had just done Bombay. Right. And we're playing Delhi. And I was like, I'm not really feeling this. I'm just going to jump in a car and fuck off to Mag Fields without telling anyone.
No way.
Yeah, so I just jumped in a car and just fucking drove 5 hours to Magnetic Fields. And to a load of irate phone calls. But then they picked up Marla after the Major Lazer gig and drove Marla in. And I sort of met with Fabrice and everyone and prepared all the documentary shit and then ended up playing. And that was when I just sort of miraculously popped up, because I was like, I want to be at that party. So I just went, ta-da! And it was like, what the fuck? So yeah.
Man, I think there's like, you know, there's not many photos, but I swear there's a really epic photo of me, Prash, and you by the DJ booth.
I was trying to find that exact photo for this chat, and I'm just like, I don't know where it is. Yeah.
Oh man, that's one of the best memories like ever. I'm so pleased that millisecond was captured.
Yeah, there's like I said, snippets. You know, I remember like I remember one point in the set I was playing where there's this a Matrix drum and bass producer remixed the theme of American Beauty. Really fucking old tune, and it breaks down into the original with the piano bit. Yeah, I remember someone coming up going, "What is this?" and just like fucking. I was just like, "Look, man, I can't really talk right now because I've drunk X amount and I'm barely standing." But that was the one. Hi, Alba. How are you? Lovely to see you. Alba's in the house. But yeah, and then you know what? So apart from the audio and you getting into music production, doing all that, then I started seeing you on fucking campaigns everywhere, like for fashion stuff and catwalks. I'm like, yo. So what the fuck happened there, bro? How did you become literally this guy at the front of a fucking Gucci campaign or whatever the hell
it was? You know what? I don't know how that happened either, but yeah, it seems like such a strange one, like how that also sort of happened out of nowhere. But like I'd been just doing like a bit of like sort of, you know, modeling for friends, right? You know, around, and you know, sort of people were looking for models, and you know, people would tag your friends on Facebook, that kind of thing. So I was doing the kind of like, you know, modeling for friends and stuff for a while, until I ended up on one for ID Mag, right, as just like this selection of people. And I'd met this other bearded dude there who was really cool. He was he's called Dylan, and he was really friendly, and he was just saying that, look, you know, you should get in touch with this agency that I'm on. I think, you know, like, you should give it a shot. And I did, and
there you go.
That's what happened. Like they took me on, and like I you know, I think I was just really fortunate to, you know, have done the things that I have, you know, like considering, you know, there's not many brown faces in fashion.
I mean, you know what? It was a big deal looking at. There's like one particular Sikh model from New York that was in a bunch of shoots, and I remember this from the late '90s, early noughties. And it's just like, yo, there's a brother, wicked. There's a fucking darkie in the house. There's a brown face. Fucking hey. Do you know what I mean? And I think that, you know, particularly from India, like there's people like Nidhi Sunil, and there's lots of other models coming out of India and breaking it internationally. But particularly male brown models, there's fuck all. Like there's hardly any of them. And every time you see a weirdy, beardy brown face, you're like, yo, wicked.
And you know what, though, that's the thing. I think, you know, I certainly wasn't making it easy for myself in that, you know, like back then, or I guess even now, right? The sort of, you know, the very mainstream commercial look is, you know, super clean cut, short hair, and really tall, right? And I was none of those things. Like, you know, I started off having, you know, my beard and everything. I had, you know, my hair and stuff, and I wasn't, you know, I wasn't 6 foot plus. So, you know, I was always this kind of alternative face kind of thing.
But that also means that you get all the good shit, like brand wise. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to do a fucking Tommy Hilfiger shoot, are you?
No. But that's the thing. I think, you know, as a result of that, yeah, you know, I've been able to do some really cool stuff and meet some really amazing brands, you know, some of these small or up and coming brands that, you know, have gone on to do really well through that.
Big up, no black, no black, no white. Yeah.
Exactly.
No black, no white. No, that's a different thing.
But also, you know, also people like Cloth Surgeon and, you know, who's become a legend now, and Imtiaz Kasim, and, you know, all these great brown designers again who were very much sort of, you know, on the margins. And
did you get any shit for that? Like, because, like, you know, like you could imagine in the fashion world, particularly, there's a lot of colorism. There's a whole bunch of, you know, like it's a, let's be honest, it's a world constructed on people buying shit, and who's got the most cash is people generally of a different hue than us. I love the word hue. It's wonderful. It just sort of just like hue. It's great. But yeah, and I'm just like, did you ever face any shit in that whole thing? Or was it all a lovely experience for you?
You know, it's weird because
without shit talking anyone, just, you know, generally.
Can you imagine if I just name dropped?
Fuck you, and this person can go fuck themselves. No, not about that. Yeah.
I had like a pre-prepared list.
Yeah.
No, you know what? Thankfully, there was this sort of buffer for me where, you know, because of the agency, I thankfully only sort of was reached out to when something was there to do. Do you know what I mean? So thankfully I wasn't sort of privy to all the, I don't know, the negotiations and all this stuff. But yeah, like, I guess that then, you know, leaves you to imagine and overthink about, oh, you know, why didn't I get that job? Maybe, you know, is it because I look different, or and you know, that's, I mean, you know, that's not a thing that's, say, just the case for, you know, POC models, because, you know, I suppose that sort of rejection is a thing you have to get used to, you know, where, you know, you go
in any casting process, you're going to get literally judged on what you look like in any fucking casting process. It's kind of a brutal thing to go through, for sure.
It is. It's like, honestly, like, you know, there was like absolutely no preparation for that, or, you know, that you weren't primed for it. Not that, you know, I would have liked to be or whatever, but it was,
I mean, how can you prepare for it? Like, listen, you're going to be called a cunt, and you're going to be told to fuck off because you don't look like this. I mean, how could you prepare anyone for that until you actually go through it, right?
No, and, you know, you get thrown into the deep end, and of course, like, you know, you learn and you sort of move on, and, you know, it became a sort of very common thing to do, like, you know, 10 or 15 castings and probably get one job, you know? So it was tough.
So what's some of the big campaigns you ended up doing, or big brands you ended up fucking repping?
Actually, well, it's funny because, you know, speaking of this thing about, you know, was there any trouble that I sort of got into? I did a thing for Selfridges, right? And it was such a weird turn of events, but, you know, I had my hair up in a bun, right? And I had my sort of beard, you know, down, not sort of a bit neat like now, but so, you know, I had my hair up and, you know, beard, everything, and I was looking really swish in this beautiful suit and everything. And I suppose, you know, I did look Sikh, right? And you know, that wasn't sort of like that wasn't like exaggerated, let's say. But weirdly, when the campaign had gone to Birmingham, it had gone up in like the store there somewhere, and they had received complaints from, you know, from the Asian community that they thought I was Sikh, and they were wondering why I didn't have my turban on.
Yeah.
And you know, that became this big thing, like, you
Oh,
know,
wow.
yeah, they ended up, well, you know, the agency and even people from Selfridges, they were, you know, sort of getting in contact, just trying to understand and make sure 100% that I wasn't Sikh. I was like, look, I mean, I'm telling you, I'm not.
Yeah.
And they, you know, there was, I guess it was very sensitive. You know, they thought they had messed up by asking me not to do this, and it was a really strange thing, because it was this kind of reverse racism. Like I wasn't Sikh, but I was becoming like profiled for being so.
Yeah, I think that's it's an interesting thing about Birmingham, because there's a lot growing up there, and I was thinking about this the other day as well. Well, in fact, just today, I was reminiscing about Riz Ahmed's approach to daytimers, because he's done this whole short film called Daytimer, and he's got this whole, he mentions 90s Asian daytimers constantly. Okay. And the experience in London, I think, was completely different to Birmingham. And for me, in Birmingham in particular, there's an awful lot of inter-Asian kind of posturing or assertion of who we are versus the other.
Right.
Particularly in Birmingham, whether that's, you know, in terms of different religions or within different religions as well.
Right.
And it was quite a mad thing, having gone through all of this kind of racism in Birmingham growing up, which was particularly just like, well, you're not white, to suddenly you're not the right brown. You know what I mean? It was just like, what the fuck is this? Do you know what I mean? How did this happen? You know, and it was a weird overlap in between as well. And I think there's a very strong, I mean, for me anyway, growing up, there was a real strong assertion about, well, if you're this religion, you can't be associated with anyone from this religion, and so on and so forth. It was really fucked up. And I think that, I mean, obviously there were people that didn't think that way, but the ones that did think that way were the most vocal. You know what I mean? As is the way, right?
I wonder though if those like tensions have sort of calmed down now. I mean, what do you think?
I have no idea. Honestly, I think that when I left, well, I mean, I remember this vividly, actually. I had like, I think in the late 90s, I had like blonde hair and one purple eye and one gray eye.
Yeah, I've seen photos.
in Birmingham, and we lived in like, you know, one of the shittest areas, you know what I mean, like full on. And it was like my salvation of being open-minded in Birmingham was clubbing, and it wasn't the daytime clubbing kind of thing. It was like death metal going into rave culture, you know what I mean? And then sort of gay house, and then drum and bass in the back room of techno clubs and stuff like that. And that was my sort of path to liberation. But I just didn't give a fuck about any of that. And I'm not sure it's changed, because a lot of underground music in Birmingham, a lot of those venues just don't exist anymore. And I haven't been out raving there for a while, you know, so I don't know. Genuinely, I think that the people that I've known back then, even the kids that I was at school with that were really casually racist all the time, have evolved. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I got called a Paki at least fucking 10 times a day, just casually. You know what I mean? It was just what you got growing up with, what you grew up with. But, you know, even the most vehemently racist people that I grew up with, I'm sure have adjusted somewhat. You know? Wow. But I honestly don't know. That's why I got the fuck out. That's why I'm very blessed and privileged to not be there, because I don't have to find out, you know?
You know what? Speaking of that, the photo from the 90s, I remember recently as well seeing a picture when you did the side-by-side thing, right? When it was like, maybe like two decades apart. And you've looked the same since. Like, bro, what is your secret? Like, you haven't aged.
It's the pickling, bruv.
In 20 years. It's incredible, but what's the secret?
I think there is one, bruv. I think there is one. I really don't know.
That's incredible.
Because you say that, but I've aged like a bastard. Like, I can't, Like I'm losing my hair here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, like, there's definite ages, and I'm grey. Look at this
You're
fucking
turning
thing.
into
Look at
silver
that.
fox. Yeah.
Look at that. Fucking ridiculous. And I actually, you know what? Genuinely, I'm very, very, very fucking blessed, because I look at, I look back at sort of, potential relationships I've had or whatever, from Birmingham to now. And yeah, someone in the comments is saying, yeah, it's the bourbon and Coke. I think you're probably right. I'm just basically preserved with alcohol. But no, I look back and I'm just like, it's got to have been really difficult for people that I was with or friends with, to figure out, what I wanted to do or that path. And I guess it still is, because I'm basically a dickhead. That's what it is. I think the secret to it is just being a dickhead.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And a back dickhead.
Yeah.
Yeah, just refusing to fucking grow up. Like I'm in my 40s and I fucking live like a child still. So, I got fucking Star Wars and fucking Batman everywhere. I mean, that's it. I think that's it.
But I love that. Well, I didn't love, but it was hilarious having your updates like a few minutes before we jumped onto the live about your
my Batman socks.
Yeah, your socks and your bathroom routine.
Well, that's it. I mean, like I said, the whole point of doing these Wednesdays, and this is the other thing, right? I say this every week, is that since last March, we've been doing these Insta Lives, right? And they've literally been a way for me to sort of focus a week timetable around. So at 6 p.m. I've got to do this. So bathing today and shaving is like, is a fucking like, I get to wash today. You know what I mean? I get to,
once a week.
Yeah. I mean, it's like cursory. I don't have to do my hair or anything. Like, my hair's a fucking shit show, bro. The amount of crap in this, I bet it's like, if there was a whiff of a flame, I'd have like a flaming head. Hang on a second. Like this.
You know what?
It looked like this.
Oh my.
Yeah, basically. It'll look like that.
I was going to screenshot that. And...
Hang on, there you go. You can.
Wait. Okay.
That's how to cover a ball patch, bro.
Oh, God. No, wait.
There you go. Shocking.
Okay. Anyway.
There you go. Yeah, but anyway, that's basically it. But, I think that the thing about seeing people like you on these campaigns that you did, let alone all the controversy, like, actually, what other big brands have you done that I've seen you on? Like ridiculously big ones that people would have seen you on generally, because I'm sure there's been a few. I'm just like, raw. There's a Burberry one, right?
Were you
in like a fucking Burberry Rain Mac or something? And I'm sure there was a Versace one.
There are these kind of shoots that happen sort of for the magazine, like spreads and whatnot, where so you're sort of decked out.
You're styled in that stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and like they put you in all this stuff, and that's that's really great. So what will never get old is wearing like a ridiculously beautiful suit that costs thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
That that I'd never be able to afford to buy myself.
Okay, what's the best thing you've nicked from a shoot?
I mean, like,
because I've stolen shit off every film I've been on. I've jacked something. So yeah, you got it. Like,
you've got like a collection of props.
It's always just a pair. For some reason, it's always fucking Adidas trainers that I've given away to a friend. Yeah. For some reason, the wardrobe department always puts me in Adidas trainers, and it's only been like 2-3 films, whatever. But
actually, well, a thing that I did take something from was this MIA video that I was in.
No way! Fuck off! Did you get to chat to Mia then? Did you guys, did you guys talk?
Yeah, we did, but like, it was quite a big thing in the sense it was this big production. There was a load of us. We were all in white, right? So it was like, we were like angels or something.
Like
so we
messy stormtroopers.
Yeah. And it was great. It was super diverse. So that was great. But we were all in white, and at the end, like it was like Reebok Classics, and I was like, this is so sick. Like there were so many people. No one was really checking about taking them back in, and I just wore them home. Like I put my shoes in my bag and kept the Reebok on.
You're not a proper Asian, bruv. You know what I would have done? Shoulder pads and shit. Taking another pair under your fucking jacket. Do you know what I mean? Next pair, like, down your thighs and shit. You know what I mean? What the fuck's wrong with you, bruv?
And leave like twice the size I was.
Yeah, man. Actually, okay. So there's another thing, right, where you've done some appearances in film stuff as well as, I'm guessing, a background artist and shit. And then like literally opening up all the hoo-ha around the film 1917. So Sam Mendez,
Oh my God,
1917. Yeah. You got fucking brown beardy motherfuckers in the background. You're one of them. I'm just like, yo, that's Suren. Like I opened the paper. I'm like, yo, that's wicked. The panda isn't a war zone, yo. That's fucking.
Man, that was such a great time.
So tell me about how the fuck you ended up on set for that film. Let alone in an army uniform, which is so besides your normal fucking.
It was what was amazing was it was like, super authentic, of course, like World War I gear, right? Yeah. And it was like full on. Like there was.
Look at you, just like I was on the set. Fashion, like it's not the war thing. It's like all about the fashion, like the clothes. Yeah.
It was so full on because I was part of this sort of little troupe that, I don't know, we had a bit more sort of airtime, so to speak, right? So they did
screen time, right?
Yeah, screen time. They did treat us a bit more special. So like we honestly, the getting ready period was about an hour because they had all these dresses, like putting all these random bits on, being like really specific and scientific about where, which side things are on, and of course for continuity and things like that. And then
wait, I just want to pause and rewind a little bit, right? Yeah. And explain what the film was and what your role was in that film.
Right.
So let's just pull back a little bit before we go into the fashion and and explain that whole thing.
So it was a period drama directed by Sam Mendez. I think it was loosely based on some kind of account of his granddad or something like that, right?
Oh, really?
Fuck, I think yeah. It was based on some like kernel of truth, and of course.
Colonel, do you see what you did there?
No, yeah.
Full uncle jokes, huh? Colonel Army, very good. Big up Bobby Tank in the comments, by the way. Yeah, sorry, carry
on. And yeah, so it was about this very high octane, like tale of these two young soldiers, who were tasked with delivering this very crucial message, that would go on to save a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
And of course, there was a lot of Sikh soldiers
in the First World War, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was an interesting one because there wasn't much visibility of the Sikhs in the film. Amazingly, there was there was one character who got dialogue, Naban Rizwan, and
no way, that's Naban.
Yeah.
What the fuck? That's Naban.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that at all.
You couldn't
Naban Rizwan. Fuck! I didn't.
Did you not recognize him?
No. I'm gonna have to rewatch it now. See how many brothers are in the fucking film.
Yeah. Who else?
Oh shit. Okay. Shit.
So of course that was great. It was him, and he's cool. And for some weird reason, it was so weird to think either you weren't going to include Sikhs or you were, but they just had 3 in the whole film, right? Like 3 soldiers amongst the thousands or whatever that they did sort of show.
Okay, and, so the film. Someone in the comments asking what film we're talking about. We're talking about 1917. Yeah. Which is this huge film that Sam Mendez did. It was nominated for Oscars and shit, right? It's a big fucking deal, right?
Yeah.
Did it win anything? And we just
it was like everywhere.
So it won like 9 nominations at the Oscars. Best film, best director, outstanding British film, loads of shit. Like 1917. Yeah. Like, it's a big fucking deal. And it had like enough darkies in it.
It was crazy because the promo for it was massive. Like, once it began, you couldn't avoid it. So that was great. And anyway, so it was weird because then, like, it was incredible that they had 3 Sikh soldiers in the film, but then also so weird that it was just 3. You're like, were there no others that you could get?
Well, you know what? The other thing is, right? Have you seen the South Park movie, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut? Right. Okay, so there's this whole thing about the I'm going to say this wrong, the Tuskegee soldiers in America as well. But this whole idea of a military tactic where you put the brown soldiers at the front line, and in the South Park film, they call it Operation Get Behind the Darky, which I think is fucking hilarious. God. So at least it wasn't that. It wasn't like you guys weren't cannon fodder.
No, no.
Hang on, dude. If you... Oh, there you are. You're back. Yeah. Sorry, spun out a bit. Yeah.
So then, you know, that happened, and then for no reason at all, that Lawrence Fox dude started speaking out.
Oh my
God. He started speaking out about that Sikhs shouldn't have been in it and shown, and obviously then it caused all this like controversy about that and the representation.
Sorry, speaking about representation in films, big up Priyanka Bose, who's just logged in the comments, man. She's just a gangster actor. But yeah, sorry, yeah, Lawrence Fox is also, let's not fucking name him, because fuck that. I don't want people to go Google this prick.
No.
Basically, he's like an old shit actor, a shit singer, who's become a far-right mouthpiece over here, who speaks up against immigration. And he essentially said that why are there brown people in a First World War film? And you know what? You're a prick. Go read your history.
I know, but I think what's hilarious,
to him, I mean, just
what's hilarious is just that how sort of simply ignorant that is. It like there isn't. It's not even like a black and white thing. Like, and there isn't any.
No, it's a brown thing. Haha.
But so after all of that, I think what just was unexpected was when they were doing a piece on him, I think on the Daily Mail, they'd chosen a photo that had my face on it, not
Naban's face. Exactly.
Yeah, not Naban. So that was really weird, and people were just like, okay. Well,
I mean, to be fair, I know you both, right? I know Naban, I know you, and I couldn't fucking tell the difference. So I mean, you know.
We do look similar.
Casual racism aside, you look the fucking same, yeah.
We all look the same, yeah. I mean, they did the casting pretty well.
Yeah, that is true. They hired, like, you know, a brother, his cousins, But yeah, I mean, that it's a pretty fucking big deal. Like, and all that whole controversy of it was quite fascinating because, you know, every time there's any kind of Remembrance Day in England, which is obviously a massive deal over here, like remembering the dead that fought in the Second World War, that fought in the First World War, there is a huge army of people that aren't from Britain that fought in it, that happen to be of different skin colors.
Yeah,
you know, the Gurkhas, there's the Indian regiments. There's just so many. Beg your pardon. There's so many allies of different colors that people just don't fucking know about.
I know.
And so it was heartening to see that in 1917. You know?
Exactly. That's the thing. I think, you know, despite everything, I'm just pleased that, you know, we saw the 3 Sikh soldiers that we did. And like, yeah, it was, I think it was just things like that really that I've done when it comes to film. So, you know, I've not, I've just sort of blagged it. I don't know how it's really happened. Honestly.
You know what? This is the shittest advice you've given. Music, how did it happen? I don't know. Modeling, how did it happen? You just happened. Film.
I know.
Fucking 1917, you bastard. How'd you do it? I just liked it. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, where's the advice in this? What the fuck?
It's not even like I'm guarding these like super secrets.
You know
like,
what I mean? Like, who did you suck off? Who did you touch up? No one. Nothing like that at all. I just walked in, they gave it to me. Bastard. See, this is what I said at the whole top of this interview, you bastard.
Actually, that's funny because I haven't seen Riz's film yet, but
which one? There's 2.
There's 2.
Mogul Mowgli and Sound of Metal. So Sound of Metal's been tipped for Oscars and shit now. And then Mogul Mowgli's the one with Naban in it. Yeah,
which was amazing because I didn't see Naban I didn't see him on the same day that I was there, but it was great to see him appear just again, like, you know.
Oh, so you were in an actual scene together?
No. I was on that just for like sort of half a day or something, so that was quite quick.
Okay.
But you know, very fun. You know, it was great to like see Riz there. I only
like
met
Riz,
him there.
Riz, as in Riz. Which one?
Ahmed.
Oh, was he there?
Yeah.
Oh, you're on about fucking. Okay, I'm very confused because there's like 2 Riz ones, right? Because that's Naban's surname, and there's two
Oh
films we're talking
God.
about. You're on about. Oh yeah, I forgot. You're in fucking. You're in Mogul Mowgli. Of course, you're in that fucking club scene. Of
that
course.
weird dance scene. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. Shit. Of course you are. Yeah.
So that was the first time I'd met Riz Ahmed, because I mean, I guess
Really?
I'd met him before. Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Dude, this whole sort of like weird cabal of people knowing each other isn't that big then.
Bro, you're the only one that knows every brown person ever. Bro, I'm telling you.
We all look the same, bro. That's what it is.
Bro, like, I swear, man, like, seeing like this, how many IG lives have you done now?
Oh, dude, you know what? This is week 43.
Man, that is insane.
I think. Hang on a second. Let me just double check. Hi, Anushka. Big up, Anushka. Anushka Menon in the house. She's awesome. No, it just means that I'm old and I've been drunk with a lot of people. That's all it means. It's 44. You're week 44.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's honestly, it's such an incredible, like, run of just like these, like, super cool people that you're just digging out casually from your address.
They're not all brown. You know that, don't you?
No, I know.
There's like some that are different colors and hues and
other
things.
Colors, green, blue,
the rainbow. Yes.
But it's an honor to join the ranks.
I mean, you've always fucking been in the ranks. There's no joining. But you know what? The thing is that I forgot you were in Mogul Mowgli. Have you seen the film?
I have not.
Yeah, but why?
I've got no excuse actually. I just haven't got around to it. Which sounds pretty bad, right? When we're in the middle of a pandemic.
I was gonna say, what the fuck? Actually, that's a good segue. But listen, dude, I need to piss, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave you. Has anyone got a question for Suren at all? Because I can leave him with a question. You can answer it, and I can go wee and come back in like 2 seconds. Okay. By the way, before I go wee, when you started DJing, and anyone watching, ask him a question, please, and I'll leave you to it. But did you start DJing on vinyl at all?
Oh man, absolutely.
Okay, so you know the whole thing about like when you were DJing and you needed to piss, so you'd find a super long record. You play it from the top.
Bruv, so many times.
Yeah.
So many times. One festival. Oh, it was Galtwood Festival in Wales, right? And bruv, it was so bad that I for some reason I couldn't leave. Right? I couldn't leave this sort of podium thing. I just had to pee in a beer glass. It was crazy.
You know, for every sort of like heteronormative misogynistic DJ, you don't want to be getting your dick out in a DJ booth just to piss. Do you know what I mean? That's the least rock and roll thing you can do. Hey, Sasha Pereira's in the house. Big up Sasha. You know Sasha, right?
Sasha. Oh yeah, of course.
Sasha Pereira. Yeah, man. Big up Sasha. That's awesome.
Nice to see you. Yeah.
Right. So there's no question. So just talk to space. Just talk about. Okay. You know what? I'm going to ask you a question then.
And then I answer to everyone else.
Yeah. Exactly. So the wardrobe of 1917. That's what you wanted to talk about. Yeah. The styles. Oh mate, Sasha still does that with a beer bottle. That's hilarious. The DJ way. Hey, you guys. There's a question from Brittany. Says, "What's your favorite artistic endeavor from what you've done so far?" There you go.
That's it's weird. The questions aren't updating on my phone. I don't know why.
Okay, maybe because I'm hosting and all. Right. But yes, Sasha is hilarious. She says she does DJ wees with a beer bottle. That is fucking jokes.
I can totally expect that from her.
Yeah. Right. So answer that question that Priti asked you, and I'm gonna go wee.
Okay, fine. Okay. So go and pee. Oh, that's such a tough one. I think I've got so much love for music and modeling. Not only because they've provided me with the ability to make a living, right, which is I'm incredibly grateful for, and it's really tough to even compare the two. Like I suppose with music, the level of expression is unparalleled, right? Like even with visual art, which I sometimes dabble in, like music just doesn't really compare, and it doesn't really feel the same. I think music is one of those things, like if if you're just a music freak like I am, there's just no denying that that's just going to be in you, right? And that's going to be like a passion, like a sort of such a sort of primal or instinctive like way of expression that you know that you'll always want to explore. So I think I'll have to choose music. But modeling is lots of fun. And you know, it helps when you like clothes and you like dressing up. Yeah.
Ta-da! Hi. Listen, what actually now we're going to talk about audio. Can you hear these mics? Can you hear anything on that? Can you hear the tap?
No.
Shit. So am I louder now?
Yeah, but what was meant to happen with the mics?
Well, so these mics, I always thought from my chats that these were picking up the audio. Hello, check one. But I think it's actually the phone mic.
It is. It got a bit louder just then when you said, when you spoke into it, I felt like it got louder just then.
Huh. Okay.
Weird.
Okay. So maybe it is coming because I've anyway, I'm using a sort of weird jerry-rigged sound card thing.
I just realized that I should have probably worn headphones as well.
It's okay. It's, you know, it allows me to hear you over your music playing in the background. That's all
right.
it is.
Yeah. That's weird. I've got music playing in the background as well, but I don't think you can hear it.
No. Well, I think that when this gets saved to YouTube, it saves the copyright strikes. But I like a bit of a bed. You know what I mean? It adds to the conversation.
That's really funny because that means both of our beds were just cancelling each other out.
But we're also then it's like we're in a proper bar hanging out. So yeah, it's lovely. Shit, I've run out of Coca-Cola. Right. So just to clarify, but yeah. So now after your movie appearances, being in this massive film and representing. Like the main thing that I see from your Instagram and everything else that you're doing is circuit bending. So you get old pieces of fucking audio tech and just rip them apart and solder them and, you know, rip it with your teeth, staple them together, like all that business.
Like to make like a Frankenstein monster or something.
Yeah, I fucking love that. That's the thing. So how did you get into circuit bending? Was it like an extension of your production or was it like a whole other different hacking route?
You know what? It feels like there was some kind of connection to this, you know, from my time at Goldsmiths when I was doing art and, you know, I was using my hands and it was very much, you know, it was very tangible in that sense, right? I was working with objects and stuff and found objects and sculptural things. And I think there was some kind of fascination with, you know, certain types of technology, like especially like the obsolete ones like tape and CDs and, you know, mini discs even. And there was this sort of combination of like curiosity about, you know, ways to play with the material of those objects and those formats. And also, I guess, you know, some kind of nostalgia, right? You know, even though I grew up in the 90s, like at some point, some of those things become really like charming just because they're so like out of fashion now.
Was it a case of sort of, I mean, for me, like growing up with any kind of medium to record stuff was like a fucking luxury. Yeah. And purchasing music was something I could never afford. So, you know, actually, or even technology for that matter. So I always found routes around getting hold of it somehow. Yeah. Is there an element of that in your work too, in repurposing all these things or bringing them back to life? Or is it just sheer the tech itself?
I think, you know, what was cool was that you know, I had the experience of all these formats the first time around. So right. Of course, you know, I remember buying CDs at HMV, right? Like CD singles and whatnot.
Whereas I'd figure out other routes to get them somehow. Yes.
And I mean, and you know, I was just about old enough to even remember buying cassettes. Like I remember, you know, being like a freshie here, you know, late 90s. And
I haven't heard freshie for years. Like fresh off the boat. That's what freshie means, just to clarify for anyone watching. Like that was like a derogatory term, was like you're freshie, man. Yeah.
It's derogatory unless we reclaim it.
I mean, you can. I was born here, motherfucker. So you can use that one. I can't. You know.
And I remember, I honestly, like, it's pretty embarrassing, but I remember like nagging my mum to buy this this cassette tape of the Spice Girls. Back, bruv, honestly, I mean, my excuse is that I was probably about 10 or 11, but it was hilarious because I was clearly excited by that at the time, and we were in this, I don't know, outdoor stall of some kind, and you know, that wasn't a thing about, you know, it was nostalgic, right? Like, that's just what I was using at the time.
Yeah. So it's more just like actually repurposing what you know.
Yeah, and I think what was really great for the sort of, you know, for the experimentalist is that, you know, these formats were so easily available, right? They're, you know, they're really cheap now, and like, I mean, you know,
just forgive me for interrupting, but depending on which model thing you happen to buy. So if you get the very first Walkman, you can't really fuck with that because it's worth like a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, like, you know, these things were massive, right? Like, you know, I can't imagine how many CD Walkmans were in production. So like, those things were so easy to find, so that it meant that breaking them wasn't so much of this like precious, you know, like thing to avoid.
That's a good point. Someone's asking, where is that Spice Girls CD or tape?
Well, I don't even want to know. Like, that, honestly, that's so embarrassing. I think, you know, I trying to think back, maybe I had a crush on them.
So. Of course you did. I was going to say, like, the cover art alone is just like, yeah, of course. It's like, I you know, it like draws you to it. Like, okay, I want to have that, please.
But, you know, of course, like, it was such a surreal thing. Like, if you can imagine, like, I had, you know, just been such a recent arrival to London and England, and that, like, I didn't even know who the Spice Girls were in effect. Like, and there was this instance of overnight introduction or exposure to the cultural landscape of the UK that
but that's it. That's the genius of their marketing, right? And the genius of the whole project was that was what it was. You know, it was so well done with a group of women of different shapes, different haircuts, different colors. Well, one different color. One different color, but still, it was incredibly fucking progressive at the time. It worked a treat.
Yeah, and you know, I guess they went on to be like probably the biggest girl band in, well, ever, maybe.
I'm gonna Google that shit because I'm not so sure.
Who do you think it could have been otherwise?
Well, there's an awful lot has happened since then.
Right, yeah.
Little Mix are the biggest girl band.
Are you serious? Wow.
In terms of plays and all that kind of shit. And that's it. You know what? This actually triggers something else. Biggest girl band in the world right now. I'm going to say of all time. Because I think you're right. Maybe the Spice Girls do clinch it. No, the Andrews sisters in terms of claim sales.
Wait, who?
The Andrews sisters.
Wow. Have you heard of them before?
No.
Wow.
Oh, no. Wait. No, you're right. Spice Girls are number one. You're totally right. Nice. Andrews sisters are number two, though, from 1925 to 1952.
Incredible.
There's a whole other, but you're right. Spice Girls are the biggest. That's crazy. And then TLC are number four.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that, man, I was totally into TLC back then as well. They were just so cool and so futuristic. Like, some of the imagery and the marketing was just it was epic. I was laughing at
100%. But that's it, is that TLC, I think, sort of had that perfect sort of cross-section of, like, underground black culture and mainstream stuff, like, right at that point.
Yeah.
You know? And also, I think that my thing with TLC is obviously the Prince cover of I Was Your Girlfriend. Because I was just like, yo, who's got the fucking gumption to cover Prince and make it relevant? You know what I mean? And also, the originals gender kind of switching or blurring was something that meant a lot to me. Because in Birmingham, in this kind of, you know, the whole kind of assertion of being an alpha male wasn't me, because I'm not exactly fucking built that way, as I'm sure you can understand, because I'm sure you relate, right?
Yeah.
And so hearing If I Was Your Girlfriend was the first time I heard like a male songwriter talk about male vulnerability and how how sharing that can actually get you laid in a really fucking bizarre way, rather than being like, yeah, I'm all macho. It's like, holy shit, this is like, you know, being like accepting your femininity perhaps, and not being a prick about it.
Yeah.
Is okay. Do you know what I mean? You can be honest and all that. It was quite something. So I've got a lot of love for If I Was Your Girlfriend. It basically taught me how to talk to women at that early age. I think it came out in '89, and I heard it in like.
So TLC was your icebreaker or something?
So no, that was Prince's version. Was in '89. So hearing TLC cover it, kind of reinforced the fact that everyone called me a freak for listening to Prince. Because I was like, "Fuck you, TLC, listen to Prince."
Do you remember? I sent you this photo of this thing that is related to what we're talking about. This patch. Do you remember?
Yes. The Prince patch.
I'm so annoyed that I still hadn't got it to you.
Oh, because okay.
It's still. I remember. Back. I swear it was like 2 years ago or something. But I mean, I was obviously back then when everything was normal. I was expecting to just have it on me. When
we could have this chat in the real life,
in
the real world, yes, and I could sort of stroke your beard delicately, yes.
But I was hoping to just hand it to you in person, right? And of course, like I'm the worst. So I've just forgotten.
We will do it soon, bro. In fact, the last time I met you, we were talking about Walkmans and stuff, and that whole repurposing of tech. So you've been circuit bending and making pitch adjustment with Walkmans, which is fascinating because I started DJing on cassettes because I was piss poor, so I couldn't afford that medium in terms of vinyl at the time. Like I just couldn't. Like £10 a record back then was
right.
Even like £10-15 for a record back then was so expensive with very little money. So cassettes were how I started DJing. So I remember my first gig was, I think, 95, 96, where I got 2 tape decks, and it's only because the dual tape deck at home that I had, which was from the 80s, could, if you pressed it in a certain way, they'd play at the same time.
Oh, wow.
And that was my introduction to mixing, because I was like, I can play 2 sources at the same time. I thought it was a fucking revelation.
That's insane. What? So were you buying the tapes sort of?
I'd record it off the fucking radio, right? Because I was that poor, right? I'd sort of, you know, I'd fucking, you know, record whatever I could on, and I've still got them all. Like I've got a box full of cassettes, which is it is nuts to listen back to. But yeah, so I'd figure out
what kind of music was on there then.
Oh God, so Left Field, first album from Left Field was mind blowing. So Song of Life from Left Field was great. Angel by Goldie was massive. Inner City Life. And there was, God, what else was there? There's like a couple of tunes, like things like The Grid and The Prodigy, kind of mainstream dance stuff, but then splintering off into little offshoots, you know what I mean? Because I have to tape it off the radio or pirate or whatever. Sounds like ass, you know what I mean? But because I couldn't afford to get the records, like if I could play them by any means necessary, that's how it was, you know? So I remember the first ever gig I did, I went to like Richer Sounds, and I bought 2 cassette like stack system units.
Right.
And I figured out where I should press play, taking into consideration the delay of the mechanism to make them kind of blend into each other.
Yeah.
And did the gig and then returned them.
No way.
Yeah. So I somehow like scraped the money together to buy them and then return them, because Richer Sounds had a return policy. So, and the people were like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like, yeah, I'm gonna put like cassette deck 1 there, cassette deck 2 there.
Bro, that's probably what made them go under.
Yeah. But that was it. It was so fucking haphazard and so like stitching it together just from like intros and outros. And then when I discovered a crossfader, I was like, what? You can go from one channel to the other with, like, it was a fucking revelation. And then pitch bending, like slowing things down and speeding them up, blew my fucking mind.
Yeah, I mean that is, I mean, if you think about it, still that is unbelievably like groundbreaking, right? Like,
and so you doing that to Walkmans is
right.
one of my favorite things in the fucking world, because I'm just like, yo,
But
Suren's like circuit bending it so that you can slow the tape down and play it. Like, that's fucking awesome.
But that's the thing, I need to write down now that I still owe you a cassette player from that time we met.
I don't think I ever bought one off you, though. That's the thing. I think there was an issue with the recording, because I wanted to.
Yeah.
I think what I wanted to do was record something on cassette with the system I've now got, and then slow it down so it fitted a production using actual tape.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, we're not talking about reel-to-reel tape here. We're talking about cassettes, which is the commercial sort of public way of playing it. And reel-to-reel stuff you can physically slow down a little bit. But there's something about going back to my youth that I'm just like, that's a tool I really want to get my fucking hands on, because of all these limitations I had as a kid and getting into DJing that way, you know. And I'm just like, oh my God, if I had 2 Walkmans that could adjust speed, fuck.
It's so good.
Yeah, that's why I'm so into what you do, because of how that whole thing started for me. And then obviously I've figured out ways of getting vinyl. But...
And what? So then after that, did you then eventually transition to vinyl?
Well, yeah, I think it was a case where I sort of started buying records because I realized that was the thing I needed. That was the format I needed to actually manipulate the speed of how they were playing. But I didn't have a record player that could do that. So I got them, and it was maybe 1 or 2. But then when I think I got like a really shitty set of Vestax decks and a really shitty Newmark mixer, and sort of just went in on getting as much as I could going. But even then, I remember like my first ever proper gig was in Birmingham at a place called the Dance Factory, which was behind the old institute in Digbeth. And a friend of mine, big up Ed King, put me on, and I played, but I still had a Walkman with a line out going in, so I could play shit off cassette as well as the turntables. Because I was like, basically I'm a format whore. Like, I don't give a shit about what format it is. Like, I'm not a purist. Like, as long as I can express whatever needs to be expressed, it's totally fine.
Yeah, and keep people dancing, right? Whatever it takes.
Yeah, like, fuck it. It doesn't fucking matter. But then, obviously, when CDJs came in, I was like, oh my God, this is the fucking future. Because I definitely couldn't afford sort of, cutting a dub plate at 50 quid a go. Like, that wasn't going to happen.
But you know what? The other thing was, like, from beginning to DJ with records, man, like it was so hard, I guess, in so many senses, just to be carrying around these like massive, chunky, like crates of records to shows. And CDJs just seemed like it was another world. Like,
yeah, I think there was a certain, for me being so slight and so small, I think there was like, so one of the things that really changed things for me was Ministry of Sound opened up in Birmingham. So the Ministry of Sound bar, which was across like 4 floors.
Wow.
So, or wait, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4 floors. It was like really fucking, hey, Illaman's in the house. Illaman, big up Illaman. Wicked. Can you see the comments, by the way? It's big in you.
I can't. I'm missing
weird.
out.
Big up Illaman.
Wait, hold on. I'm going to just try and, I don't want to leave this chat, but I don't know how to.
That's just rotating around. Can you scroll up? You can't see them. Ah, shit.
I don't know why.
Well, Illaman, big love to you, bruv.
Yeah, big up David.
And he's sending up man like panda chats, yes. But yeah, so going into Ministry of Sound bar in Birmingham, and Broad Street in Birmingham is basically like a shit show of commercial things.
I remember Broad Street.
Yeah. So there's like, Ronnie Scott's was like the jazz place, obviously. And then over the road was Ministry of Sound bar. And they opened this thing up and I was like, shit, that's wicked. And this night that I used to love did their spin-offs on a Wednesday.
Okay.
And I was like, fuck this, I'm going to play there. Like, that's the fucking thing. So I ended up playing there on the regs, basically, and do drum and bass. And there's a track by, you know DJ Crust, right?
Yeah.
You know Warhead?
Probably, yeah.
Oh, mate, fuck off. I'm going to play it now.
Well, it's just the name doesn't ring a bell.
No, fuck off, man. I mean, I forget how young you are. I apologize. But
no, come on. I'm pretty sure I've heard Warhead.
I mean,
I just
Warhead.
need you to play it.
But to people watching, I'm just gonna play it anyway. Because Warhead is like.
I've turned down my music.
Hang on a second. I'll turn this up. So Warhead. No, it's a different tune. What the fuck? That's calm. Hang on a second. Warhead. There you go. So. And then. Right, so that's sub. You can't hear it.
I can't hear it.
Like, it's a tune. So I used to play that. And my best friend Simon was in the toilet. And he was pissing. And suddenly the wall started shaking when the sub came, right? So his piss was like splashing back onto him. And he's like, yo! He's playing Warhead and came running out for the drop. You know, it was just like, yeah.
So good.
Those days, man, those days. But anyway, Ministry of Soundbar, playing records there. And the weird thing was that suddenly there was this changeover of acceptance, particularly in my life, where I went from being like the dirty packy to suddenly, oh, can you get us into this club? You know what I mean? It was
right.
It's like, fuck. There was a definite point there, you know.
Man, actually, that just made me think about the Horse and Groom. Like that. That was in fact Simon's chapter.
So Simon managed Horse and Groom.
Right.
What are you talking about in terms of Horse and Groom?
No, but I just remember that was a big chapter for you, right? Like that was a regular thing.
Yeah, ongoing. Like we did some stupid shit in there. Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I didn't ever play one of them, did I?
No. I think it was there was I think it all started when okay, so there's a bit of a story to this. So Shiver Sound System, my outfit, did nights at Herbal in London. Herbal was like a club where loads of labels did club nights, like Metalheads, Hospital Records, loads of people. National Records as well on the underground vibe. We had a night together, parted ways, and then we carried on doing our thing. They did their thing. And we were really lucky because we had a guy called Chris McMuck in the office, and he ended up getting people like Aphex Twin to play at our nights. Like we had like ridiculous shit happen. So in the chat with Bobby Friction, I booked him as Zico Stani with Harmy to play against Aphex Twin because like who's like the brown Aphex Twin at that point. Yeah, it was just fucking a different time. It was madness, right? It was all just
my God.
Crazy shit.
I remember as well, you know, Talvin Singh was saying how just the craziest guests were turning up to raves, you know, back then. And you know, if this was music that was, or club nights that were, you know, very like Asian underground folk.
Like niche as fuck.
Yeah. And clearly it was making these waves that everyone else just wanted to get involved.
You know what? Like, big up Talvin and big up Sweetie, who used to like promote the night as well. Sweetie Kapoor is like original fucking female gangster, like brown woman who just went out into London clubland in the 90s and made all this shit happen. You know?
Oh, legend.
And so without her, Talvin, Sam, State of Bengal, we wouldn't be doing what we do at all. Do you know what I mean? They kind of primed everything for us, and all the DJs as well. It's not just those guys, but you know, all of them. But yeah, I think that it speaks to two things. Like, I think the first thing is that you need to have weird people in the space to kind of validate yourself in a fucked up way. So having Bowie turn up to Anuka was like a big thing, or Bjork go to Anuka was like, it validates that with the rest of the world. And similarly now, when you've got artists like Dana, Ms. Muhammad being played by Iggy Pop, you still need those people, or fucking ADF. Being supported by Primal Scream. You know what I mean? You still need your kind of advocates or your I guess patrons. Like you need to have your popular white figureheads supporting your darkies. You know what I mean? For better or for worse. Yeah, it's still really important because I think that there's something about and there's a few threads we've started that we haven't finished yet, so apologies. But I think to actually like to sort of hit that point where you can tip over to being accepted into mainstream British culture, you kind of need to have those mainstream allies, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
which is unfortunate, but
which is really, really crap. You know, I like, you know, that just seems like it would be a whole other conversation that would go on for so long.
But answer me this: why the hell did I mention Ministry of Sound?
We were talking about the woes of playing with vinyl records.
Oh, right. Okay, so then there's that, and then also when the bass dropped, the needle would fucking skip off the record.
Oh my god!
And fuck the dropper.
No way.
Yeah. So you'd like waiting for it, and then like, yeah.
But surely that, you know, that's when you go from being like the most loved person to the most hated.
Yeah, and then also, okay, now I understand where you're coming from. So when I was at that residency, when I finally got it, like walking in with records, I used to have to hold the metal record case like this, and I looked like a sort of weird inverted turtle. So I'd have to sort of walk in with these records like this. Yeah, but it was also like a way of, in my head at least, it was like I have arrived. Even though I looked like a fucking idiot, I was like, I am here to play these records now. Yeah. Fuck off out my way. So there's a certain ceremony to the entry. You know?
It's true. There was something, I guess, way more impressive somehow turning up with these, you know, this physically huge box of records at the door, and the bouncer knowing you're a DJ.
In you go. Yeah.
You know, than having like a USB like this big.
And also it meant that, and this is another story that I'm not sure I should be telling, but at our nights at Herbal, you know, we were still like poor. We'd all go back home to get kana and food and stuff. So, you know, my best friend Simon would turn up to Herbal with like straight from Birmingham to our club night with like all of his home cooked food in fucking bags that would stink, but no one would check his bags. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't drugs, it wasn't weapons.
Yeah.
It was fucking like proper stinky curry. And he'd put it behind the desk. You know what I mean? So, and that to me was an assertion of our identity. It's like, yeah, you're clubbing with brown people now. We all smell a curry.
That's incredible, man. That's, oh god, that's so good.
Did you ever go through anything like that when you were like sort of stepping out? Any kind of like sort of brown aversions or sensitivity where you're like, okay, I can't eat dal. How's it going? You caught me drinking some water. Water. What a wonderful resource we have. Crikey. So, thanks for joining me earlier with the wonderful My Panda Shall Fly. Hopefully, he'll jump back on, we can reconnect and have a bit of a chat and continue this. Hi, Priti. How are you? Thank you for joining. Yeah, I'm going to tell Suren that we're back on live. Back on, bastard. Yes. So, this whole period has been very, very strange, it has to be said. All the kind of restrictions and various ebbs and flows and funny things. But the positives have been that I get to talk to a dear friend of mine every week and get really hammered with them, which is great. So we're in that stage right now, sending to My Panda Shall Fly, aka Suren, again to wrap this up. Hey, you're back, bro.
You're back.
Oh my god, what happened?
Bro?
What happened? You literally just dropped. Is someone in your house downloading a lot of porn?
Possibly, I'll have to check. But was that me or you?
I've got a feeling it was you because you spun out, but it might be me as well.
Oh man, yeah.
Hi, Dory. How are you?
I was so confused because I think I was getting a live request from you and I was sending one. It was like back and forth.
Oh, I just got denied, bro. It was like, basically, it was like Shally.com all over again. You know, it was like, will you marry me? No, I won't. Fuck off. Like, will you marry me? No, go away. You know,
it was like snog, marry, avoid.
Yeah, it was just basically, I just got avoid from you constantly.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, air fuck off, air fuck off, air fuck off is what I got from you. Like, be my friend, no, fuck off. So yes, that was that, man. So anyway, going back to your circuit bending, we got a bit carried away. We had a little bit of a wormhole there. Maybe it was the sort of internet god saying, stop talking your shit down this path and reset. Exactly. So yeah, your circuit bending, all that kind of stuff. Like, you know, you've been taking all these old synthesizers and shit and just modding them.
Yeah, and, you know, that became this, like, obsession that, you know, I sort of explored, like, ever since.
Right.
And, And you know, it's been great. Like it's sort of, it's felt like something that I've always wanted to do. Like even when, you know, I was releasing all this sort of commercial music and, you know, the stuff that was.
Sorry, commercial music.
Yeah, yeah, and you know the music that.
You weren't exactly Spice Girls, bro. I mean, let's be fucking real here. You know.
You know, like the stuff that at least kickstarted my career in that sense.
Yeah.
Weirdly, I think all along, you know, I was still really fascinated about getting into like the insides of machines and figuring out how they work and how to break them. And you know, it's a thing now I've been able to, I think, thankfully put more attention on now, whereas, you know, I've been able to release music that's more in line with like the sound art kind of thing.
Yeah, and what you give a fuck about.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a fucking blessing. You know what I mean? You don't have to conform to anyone else's ideas of what you should do. You just do them yourself.
Yeah, and it's great because, like, weirdly now, you know, there isn't so much a need for dance floor music, right? Like that's not really a thing.
Where are the dance floors? And also, fuck that. I'm so jealous of all of the sort of musical friends of mine that are in fucking New Zealand playing massive raves.
Really? Are they?
Mate. Oh, big up Hungama. Yeah, man. Hungama's in the house. Hungama London. Yes.
Big up Ryan.
Yeah, man. Ryan's lovely. Love Ryan. Awesome. That shoot he did with the Black Fingers is amazing. But yes, going back to the rave, like, yeah, in New Zealand, like a lot of... Wait,
I remember, I swear there was a time when I saw you at Dalton Superstores as well.
Yeah, you were playing.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's another night out we remember.
Of course, dude. I've been with you in several locations across this planet fucked up in the past. We just have no recollection or photographic evidence, and that's totally fine. That's as it should be. Yeah. You know, as a raving child of the 90s, I'm very blessed with no photographic evidence of what the fuck I did. But yeah, anyway, flipping back to that whole circuit bending kind of, you know, making what you want to in lockdown thing and events and all that kind of shit. I think you're right. It's a great time to just express what you want to. And one of the fears that I've had is that music's just disposable. You know, right. The whole industry's shifted to a situation where I don't think that anyone making music can win. Like, you've got to, this is kind of a deep one, so bear with me, and I'm a little bit pissed. But if you're a new artist sort of making your way out there, you're going to have to pay for fucking Facebook ads. You're going to have to sort of, you know, pay to get like your track placed on certain playlists.
Yeah.
And it's all based on fucking two companies and how many plays you get, like YouTube and Spotify. That it's complete fucking bollocks. You're not going to fucking earn any money from that bullshit. You know what I mean? The live industry is gone.
Yeah.
And there are several companies out there that will help you pitch to various playlists that charge you for the privilege, right?
Right.
And it just doesn't make any sense to me. None of that makes any fucking sense. What was that, you bastard? Are you bored? What? Are you just fucking around with filters?
No.
Excellent.
I wanted.
I'm just talking shit. Hey, you fucker. I was making serious points, and you just piss on my chips right there.
You had the hot head.
It's like, here's my chips, and you're just pissing on them. I like making an emotive response, you bastard. Also, pick up gnarly music in the chats. Love gnarly music.
Well, because you had
talk about earlier. Respect your elders, you bastard. No. I get like all this worked upness. It takes me like this much booze to get honest. And no. I'm playing with filters. You're like, yeah.
You're like spilling your heart out, and I've got like AR filters on my face.
You know what I mean? Wicked. Thank you, bro. Thank you. They're wicked.
No, that's the thing. Like, it's like I don't even like thinking about how difficult it is to do music.
Fuck you. Today. My point was then to ask you about your advice, but you know what? Your advice, like, okay, yeah. Like, your advice is like this. Hi. Yes, here's my advice.
I need to. Rob, can you screenshot this because I can't.
Right there. Yeah, I did it. There you go.
I saw the flash just then.
With the flashings. Anyway. Yeah, I'm fucking in my 40s. I can't be doing filters on the regs.
No, okay. You started it, but yeah.
Dude, I was asking you a serious fucking question. Anyway, you're right. I did start it. You're right. You're totally right. Anyway, what filter are you going for, out of interest?
I was looking for the flame head.
Oh, dude, I'll tell you what it's called. I'll send it to you, right? Hang on.
I think you need it on your recent used or whatever.
No, I'm sharing my effect with you. Oh, shit, I can't do it. No, hang on. It's called Against the Clock.
Right.
By SDRN.
Oh, man, well, I don't think I have it, but... Wait, what's this?
Wait, what the fuck?
What?
You know, you're like younger than me, right? You're meant to know all this shit.
I know, yeah, I know.
What the fuck, man?
Anyway.
Hi. Yeah, I mean, now everyone's just watching me and you play with that.
Yeah.
So, where were we? Circuit mending, gigs, shit. I've completely lost my train of thought.
I guess, yeah, just the difficulty of making music, right, today.
Oh, no. Okay, yeah. So yes, the whole dichotomy is spending money on ads to buy plays, essentially, for what? I don't get it.
I think this was a thing when I was talking about when you nipped off for a pee, but that thing of like, regardless, I think of the landscape as it is, like, there are some people who music is like such a passion, and it's so important, I suppose, that amazingly, I think they'll just persevere with it regardless.
Yeah.
And that's really important. I think like that certainly is kind of like it's really important, like, to have.
Well, so how do you cope with that as a relatively new artist compared to this whole fuck over here? Like, how did you cope with that?
To granddad over there.
Yeah, with the disposable nature of music. Because for me, like, it's like this shit that I want to put out should should stand the test of time. How do you cope with this constant consumption and therefore the rejection of what you do?
I'm trying not to have an answer that isn't like previous to just saying I don't know.
Okay, fair enough.
No. I think it's this like sort of determination, right, and this drive to not really take no as an answer or take the rejection. I don't know where that.
So it's not giving a fuck, basically. It's just
yeah,
like fucking do it if you're gonna do it. Or
and
don't.
like I don't know where that's come from, because certainly or something, but I feel like it's just this London thing where you just need to have it. Very much like a New York thing as well. Like you just I don't know, you need that drive, right? Otherwise you're not gonna make it. And
just keep fucking doing it regardless.
Yeah,
of those
and you can't stop.
Yeah.
Like you like, I mean, especially in a a metropolitan city like ours, like you can't really stop. There's no time to, I suppose.
Yeah. I think that's the longevity aspect for sure. Like, if you stay the course,
right,
success is kind of inevitable. You're gonna have to fucking break through eventually, just because everyone's gonna be fucking sick of you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just actually sort of staying there means, like, I'm not fucking going anywhere, motherfucker. Let me.
No. And then everyone finally just like admits to just like giving you a go of.
Fine, you bastard. Come on,
taste of success.
Yeah, or just for a quiet life. So yeah, I think persistence is definitely fucking key.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So, has there ever been like an inkling of like curiosity for you to make music?
Oh yeah, loads. But the thing is that but I kind of make music almost for therapy, and so it's been like over the years, it's been very much something I do instinctively, but not released because I work with people that are better at it than I am. So my job has been to sort of push them,
right?
Because otherwise it'd be my ego. You know what I mean? Like why the fuck would I want to compete with people that are better than me when I can help them get better? You know what I mean? Or sort of help them get more recognition.
But what's really, really nice as well, I think, is that loads of the people you've worked with have happened to be your friends, which is so cool, right?
So a long time ago, I had this interaction with someone, and I won't name them, but they said something to me which kind of fucked me up at the time. This is like in 2001, 2002, when they were like, "This is the music business, not the music friendship," and I thought they were fundamentally wrong, and And it's proven to be the case. Like, even when I work with close friends like Pavan or Decode, for example,
or
we have
Prash.
Prash, we have contracts in place that define those parameters. You know what I mean? So our friendships can still maintain. And Pavan most recently, do you know what I mean? Like, we've worked together on his solo project or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, we've had contracts that kind of exemplify that, but it's about communication. And there was, when I first started out and creating labels and trying to get into that, there's always a fear that you'll cause a break in that relationship. And I think it's about intent. And I was saying this earlier, like, you can either like start off with a fuckload of money or intend to fuck people over.
Right.
and there's something else that you could try and do. Do you know what I mean? And that's the key. I just think I'm very fucking lucky, because I think that I value the relationships more than the business. Right, and I think I'm privileged. I think I'm privileged enough for that. I think the relationships mean more to me than the business side of it. I just fucked off again. Excellent. As soon as I fucking bare my soul, you fucking feel like, you know what? This is like millennial chat right now. I'm like, oh bastard,
my phone's about to die.
Yeah.
I was getting the charger.
Getting your chicken dippers, I know, you bastard. But yeah, no, but I think that's it. I think very much so. It's about being lucky enough to have friends and not give a shit about who they are in terms of status or what they can do for me or whatever. It's a genuine kind of like, let's fuck shit up. Because I genuinely don't, and I think a lot of that comes from being a massive Prince fan and now he's dead. And so therefore, I'm like, I don't give a shit about anyone else, really. Yeah. Like, there's no other artist I'd pay to see apart from Prince. I'd blag into anyone else's, but Prince, like, yeah, I'll pay to see you. And he's gone, so like, whatever.
I still, it would be really cool to hear something you've made at some point.
It's out. Oh, actually, no, I deleted everything. Huh. No, okay, so the thing that's out there right now that you can hear is the remix we did of Anushka Shankar's last but one album called Crossing the Rubicon is what it's called. Okay. And it's the Shiver Sound System remix. And I basically wrote that and then D made it sound better because he's great at that. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, I think it's about finding what I can do to help people that's outside of me being the fucking top liner. Because there's this thing that Bowie, I keep referring back to this. There's an interview between Jeremy Paxman and David Bowie in 1999, where Bowie's talking about the interface between art and the audience, and how if art doesn't meet its audience, it's not truly art. Yeah. And the one thing that's in my head is that over half of what art is how it meets that audience. Like, you can make anything, you can have that impetus, but how you fucking get that to the audience is more important. The legend around it is more important. Like, all the sessions of the Thriller album, right, are vital, but how it met that audience was what made it so fucking big. Right. So you can have this great idea, but how it meets the world is just as, if not more important. The idea can be really simple, but then how it's realized is a different story, And I think that's something that intrigues me, not more than the creation, but that interface intrigues me the most, So whether it's me making it, I can noodle and make stuff, but it's just not as good as anyone else's. Maybe one day I won't give a fuck and do something about it. But and there's one or two things out there. And Vinny in the comments, big up Vinny, says there's a bunch of shit on my SoundCloud, but it's not important. The important thing is people like you and people that, that I can sort of help get out there, because it's better than whatever I could fucking say. It's kind of lazy, I guess. It's the path of least resistance.
I think then, of course, people like me are so lucky to then have, guys like you who've been out there and done so much of the hard work in the sort of
It was easy. I just got drunk, bro. It's totally fucking fine. It's literally, I think it's laziness on my part too, bro. I don't there's no exalting there,
Well, I think yeah, it's amazing. Like, and it certainly made it easier. For example, like, you know, when we were saying, like, when I first released something, I didn't have this like obstacle to battle with so much as, you know, having to say prove my brownness or anything like that, because thankfully there were all these other freaks before me.
And it goes back to Empire days, bro. Like there's like, you know, we all stand on the shoulder of giants, all of us, you know what I mean? Like all of us, going back to the whole point where, you know, like I was reading Ravi Shankar's biog, and like every other fucking, the one by Oliver Crast, the new one, and every other page is like fucking mind-blowing, like revelations of what other people did.
I need to check that out.
It's a head fuck, man. It's a complete head fuck. But yeah, no, I appreciate that. But also, like, you know, in terms of going back to that whole, you know, art is only art when it meets the public, versus your own therapy. I think that's a distinction that I'm quite happy with.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, eventually I'll get there. Eventually I'll do that. And eventually that will happen. Or maybe not. It's fine. You know what I mean? I get to fucking get drunk with my mates. And, you know, like you said, and like I've really strangely realized, I've been drunk in front of a lot of people. And that's it.
I love how that's like the singular thread for all your guests.
Everyone that's seen me be an asshole before while drunk. Yeah, that's it.
Does that mean then, like, that, like, you can sort of narrow those interactions down just to nighttime, or is it even a daytime thing?
It's the next day as well. It's fully the next day. You know what I mean? It's ongoing. But yeah, I mean, you know, I think that, like, this whole thing about creativity, getting through these processes and getting through life in general, like, how have you been coping with it over the last few months or year? Have you been all right?
I think, you know, one of the things that's helped is sort of to, you know, to shut out and draw out actually, like, all the difficulties that is going on outside. And, you know, all the struggles and everything. And, you know, especially here for us in the UK where, you know, the virus is super scary. And
sorry, just to interject, right? I just want to say, like, a friend of mine messaged me saying, yay, the Cheeto is gone from America. And I was like, you know what? The right-wing motherfuckers don't have to worry, because we've still got our blonde, obfuscating, racist bastard in office.
Blonde, yeah.
Yes. Anyway, sorry, please continue.
That's the other funny thing. Like, I was thinking earlier how we're like battling for views with one of the most like historic events being broadcast on TV.
Oh, but that's it. I just don't give a shit. That's entirely it. I just don't care. Like, this is genuinely a selfish act for me to hang out with a friend.
Man, it's great. It's great because, like, annoyingly, like, it's been that thing where we've just not been able to hang out, you know, even say in the last 2 years or whatever. And like, that's what I was looking forward to so much over this, where it would just be like hanging out like normal.
And being eavesdropped, which is just, you know, the way forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, when are you, I mean, like, that's it. I think there's this kind of corridor of not knowing when we're going to be able to hang out next, but I'm looking forward to it massively.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Right. Well, I think I'm going to go pee again. We've been chatting enough shit for enough time. So I'm going to say thank you for doing this, because I think I might need a poo as well, actually.
Another one.
Yeah, I know. I've got this weird metabolism where anything just goes in, just comes out. I think that's probably the secret.
Oh, really?
Which
is staying slim.
Instant fucking absorption and instant rejection. That's all it is. So like, fuck, done. But look, bro, thank you so much for this whole chat. So I really appreciate it.
Well, it was such a treat, man. It was so great to like do this finally.
Yeah, man. And I'm thankful that I was able to fucking hang with you, and I can't wait to do it in real life. Maybe in March or April. Fuck knows when. But yeah, we'll do it soon. I can't wait.
And I'll have gifts in tow when I see you.
I love gifts. Yeah. Big love, brother. Take care, man.
Loads of love, bro.
Mwah. See you soon, you handsome bastard. Look at all the hair. Balding.
Silver foot.
Jealous. That's what I am. Okay, bye.
Take care.
See you.